Welcome back. Well, to this conversation now, we're focusing on the unique appeal of the DeepSeek platform and what it makes it stand out in the ever-evolving industry. We'll also discuss the lessons other platforms can learn from DeepSeek's success, whether we can expect more platforms to follow in its footsteps, and how major players like Alibaba are positioning themselves in that space. Joining us now to discuss, we have Isaac Marshall, investor, TLG Capital. Hello, Isaac. Great to have you join us today.
Lottie, it's so good to see you, man. How are you?
Great to see you too. I'm fine. So,
very good.
Definitely it was quite a dramatic turn of events. If you backdate to Monday, we saw that route for most of the tech stocks and AI platforms, big drops. Investors, some say investors overreacted, with DeepSeek, coming into the scene. So, what do you make of the appeal of the DeepSeek model? Is it all about pricing?
It's a great question. So if you really think about it, what DeepSeek did, because if you just saw, there's been this enormous announcement in the United States of the Stargate program, as they call it, where a group of companies, a consortium of companies, has announced they're going to put $500 billion, $500 billion of investment to build essentially what is the largest set of GPUs to power AI ever even conceived of. And when you look at that investment, a major plan for that investment is the construction of an independent or a gas refinery, a gas power plant rather, just to power the power demands of one of these GPUs. And when you think about the amount of energy that's required to power AI, because it's incredibly powerful calculations. I mean, basically, you're doing enormous statistical regressions, right? As the word large language model implies, these are very, very large models. And what DeepSeek seems to have done is achieved comparable results to the leading United States models, but at 5% of the energy consumption. Right, that is the reason why there was hundreds of billions of dollars of market cap shaved off U.S. companies, because there was a clear sense that while the thought was that U.S. companies were going to lead the AI revolution, that what DeepSeek has been a Sputnik moment for is that it's not only U.S. companies that are working on this problem and will be.
So, at this point, let's say, time goes by. Do you think this will all be hype at the end of the day with DeepSeek?
I think to me, I don't think the market's reaction is suggesting that DeepSeek is going to necessarily be the winner. What the market is reacting to is the wake up to the fact that other challengers will be entering the scene, and the pricing to perfection that has taken place on so many of the U.S. AI companies is perhaps not as sensical, right? I mean, to some degree, the U.S. companies that were tethered to the AI story were a little bit vulnerable to this to begin with, because there was truly a pricing to perfection when a lot of the news came out. And it makes sense because, when all of us used ChatGPT, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. It's like the things you can make it do is pretty shocking. And so I think, the market reacted in one direction, now is adjusting to the other. Although there are also very interesting implications for U.S. and China long-term relations, because with the announcement of Stargate immediately following DeepSeek, there is a sense that AI, which has been an area of competition for a very long time, potentially serves as a new era of competitive dynamics between the U.S. and China, and one that China is extremely well positioned for. Although I think all of us also hope that at some point the competitive spirit of these great powers can also emerge towards cooperation, because actually there's a lot of partnership that's possible between the U.S. and China. So we have to see how that plays out, because unfortunately that's not in the political narratives today.
Yeah, and as the AI race, heats up at this time, we're seeing Alibaba there challenging DeepSeek and all of the big platforms. Do you think there's anything there?
No, I look. I think the R1 model, which is this model that's come out. I think other people will use it, but I think to me, it's very hard to call who's going to have the best model at this point. Right. I mean, what bodes well for China is the fact that, the United States, while it has made itself a hub of innovation, I think the United States' main edge in the AI world, frankly, is the capital markets. It is very easy to deploy $500 billion to a group of scientists in the United States comparative to other countries. But at the same time, for China, in an economic structure that works a little differently, their government can also put substantial resources to work behind this. And if you look at it, the United States is 26th in the developed world in math and education rankings, right? So we're the United States has fallen so far behind other countries in the amount of talent that's available. And this is an area that China has a massive edge because there's enormous investment, there's enormous education, and there's enormous interest in the country in developing the technical capabilities for the new world. And frankly, this is also, as for implications to Nigeria, there are a lot of young Nigerians that are going into tech. There are a lot of young Africans I see that are going into the technology sector. And it's clear that these are going to be the jobs that solve humanity's problems technically, from a technical perspective in the future.
And I'm sure big investors are watching all of this play out with, cash in your pocket, looking for where to spend it. Which AI startups are catching your attention?
It's a really good question. I mean, honestly, I think we're looking at a lot of stuff in the AI-enabled space. I think at this point, you have there are larger companies, right? Like obviously the fair monies of the world, the sort of large digital banks have been using AI for a long time in the way that they do credit underwriting and the way that they run their systems. And then there are smaller companies that are up and coming on the scene now, right? Like Vula, which helps businesses to automate their applications for charitable grants and for investment applications, right? Because in a way, you can almost have two AI talking to each other to determine if a fund manager has at least some fit with a particular company. Your initial screening can now be done by an algorithm. And I mean, look, to actually assess the business, you need a human being to look at it today. There's just not enough data that's available to feed into machines to sort of make more complex decisions. And I think actually AI, I'm not so worried about eliminating jobs in the same way. I think it'll enhance and change jobs. But look, it's a massive theme. You cannot not be looking at it
right.
when you have an investment mandate.
Right. Just recently, I was watching a movie on Netflix, and it seemed for some reason, AI turned against humanity. You have such fears that might happen at some point.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the scary thing. And I think that's why, one thing just that I'll say, which is an interesting thing, because I don't think it's talked about enough, humanity's problems that increasingly we have to solve, they are almost moral or spiritual problems more than technical problems. This will be the next wave of challenges. Because when you have a situation where you can fake any video, or you can use quantum computers to hack any password, suddenly the question becomes, how does humanity rise to the state of ethics where we can behave to handle the burdens, the responsibilities that come with the sophisticated technologies that we have? I mean, to take an extreme example, if every person in the world could manufacture their own nuclear weapon in a 3D printer, you need humanity to be quite kind and loving and altruistic towards each other. You need people to follow to the highest degree the teachings of the great spiritual teachers and messages of different religions, right? You cannot simply regulate that away at a certain point. And so I think one of the things long term we also have to think about is that how do we in our business communities, how do we in the way we raise our kids, just prepare these coming generations for a world that's looking much complicated, Lottie, than the challenges that you and I are looking at.
Right, definitely. so much to look out for, going forward and the future generation. But it's all about the AI drama right now. We'll see how this one, plays out and, takes us into the future. But thank you so much. Always great, having your perspective. That was Isaac Marshall, investor at TLG Capital. Thank you so much.
Lottie, thank you so much for your time. Take care.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll head straight to the markets. That's in a moment. Just stay with us.